Hello, everyone. I'm Austin Speaker, and this is Kenny Stables alongside with me, and this is the A.K.47 Baseball Podcast. 47 minutes of baseball information coming your way. And Kenny, great to be here with you.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so pumped.
I'm just pumped over last night. Just can't believe watching that game actually happen. Brian Dozier with the home run in the first inning, and then also Eddie Rosario in the first inning, and it's just like, okay, we're down 3-0. Awesome.
Yeah, Severino didn't have his best stuff, but the offense picked him up, and thank God we have the bullpen that we do.
All right, well, let's dissect into Severino right away, because something that a lot of people know about him is he has a tough time. Once he gets through the first inning, he's fine, but it's always the first inning.
Yeah, he has a tough time establishing rhythm, and that's common for a young pitcher. I mean, his velocity wasn't lacking last night. He was hitting 100, 101. It was just his location was off. He was missing up. His slider was flat. He couldn't throw his changeup near the plate, and the Twins just sat fastball, and then Rosario got a hanging slider, and that was it.
I mean, adrenaline usually has something to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I was of the small minority that said Sonny Gray should have been in contention for the wild card game, but I'm not the manager. So
I mean, you're gonna go on. I'm gonna put you on record and say that if the Yankees did come back and win, or tie the division with the Red Sox, and we had a game 163, you said Gray in that game and Severino in the wild card.
Yes, Gray in that game because he outdueled Verlander in the ALDS in 2014 when he was with the A's. And he has more postseason experience than Severino. I'm just going strictly off experience.
I get that, but Severino, I don't fault him for starting Severino.
No, it was the right choice.
It's just he's been the ace all year.
I know, but like I said, when you're as young as Severino is and you're in a big moment like that, he's never pitched in a game like that before. The magnitude of that game. I mean, he's already a very intense individual as is for game 87 of the season. I mean, the wild card game exasperated that a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, he went down 3-0. Only made it 1 out, his ERA in the game. Because he did record now, he did have an ERA of 81 in that game, so gotta love it.
And that out was suspect, too, because of Todd Frazier almost falling over the tarp. So he could have gotten no outs, to be honest.
Just about. It was a weak pop-up in foul territory, and he made a nice play to focus on the ball and catching on the tarp. So, Brian Kenny, all week, well, not all week, but leading up towards the wild card game, said Chad Green should have started that game.
Right.
He essentially did, and got us out of jams, and kept going, and then you turned it over to Robertson. How weird was it watching just everything unfold, starting with Green in the first inning, then going to Robertson in the third, then Canely in the fifth, I believe.
Yep, roughly. Yeah, no, it was odd. I mean, Brian Kenny basically got his wish. I mean, Severino lasted a third of an inning, so it basically was a bullpen game from the very start. So he was in the right there, essentially. Like I said, thank God we acquired Robertson. Thank God we got Canely, because in those situations, assuming we didn't make those trades, it would be Jonathan Holder or Tyler Clippard, even Brian Mitchell getting those outs. And to be honest, as much as I like Holder and I didn't like Clippard, I trust Robertson and Canely tenfold more than they.
You do have a weird love for Holder and Heller.
Yes.
Who just, sometimes they look good and then sometimes they look quite suspect. Tyler Clippard, oh man. Dude, remember that stretch of, I want to say it was like June, early July, when Clippard just could not get an out?
Oh, he was awful. Yeah, he was terrible. And I think the magnitude of that sort of peaked in Chicago, when they're in Chicago, and he blew, I think it was like a bases loaded, nobody out. He gave up the grand slam.
That's
if
right.
My memory is right.
I believe that was correct.
Yeah.
I just can't help but wonder. I know we won the wild card game, good for us. Going to the ALDS, got to play Cleveland, and everything is kind of happy-go-lucky because we're officially We're basically in the real postseason. But I can't help but wonder if Clippard blows half of those leads, or if Chapman and Betances combined to only blow half of the leads that they did during that May, June, July stretch that the Yankees kind of fell off.
Yeah.
We would have won the division in mid-September.
Yeah, we could cherry pick and go back. Even remember that hot streak we had in mid-May.
We were 21-9 at some point.
Over a 30-game stretch, and then we tanked after that. If we went 500 during the stretch after that hot streak, we would have won the division. I mean, we can cherry pick all we want. We can go game by game.
I get it. Yeah, no, it's easy.
It's baseball.
It's easy to do that in hindsight, but I'm just happy we went on. And a big part of that was Didi Gregorius. I've said for a while. When we first got him, I was like, he's a weak bat, but just a very slick defender, and we'll see how he develops. But I'm not comparing him to Derek Jeter. I'm just saying you can't ask for a better replacement.
No, I mean, we got him and he was extremely raw. You could tell the limelight of New York kind of got to him a little bit. He was making a lot of errors, fielding and throwing, which is unlike him. The namesake for him coming over to New York was that his glove was spectacular, and now we know his glove is spectacular, and his hitting is coming to fruition. So I mean, he's I wouldn't say he's a 5-tool player, but he's pretty close.
Well, let's count him up. Okay, so he's got the arm. We all know
he's got the arm.
He's got a good glove.
Yeah.
He's fast. He doesn't steal a lot, but he is fast.
He's a good athlete.
He's a good athlete. He can run the bases.
Yeah.
He's a 300 hitter. Or I think his final numbers were right around 288, 290 in the year.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, the average is there, and
Power.
24, 25 home runs.
I guess you could
as
call
a
him.
shortstop.
Yeah, I guess you can call him a 5-tool player.
I mean, he's not Judge or Mike Trout
or
Bryce Harper,
no.
but he's as far as a shortstop goes, he's right up there with as much of a 5-tool shortstop as there is. You got him, Francisco Lindor. And those guys are faster, speed-wise, and have better gloves than I think than Seager and Correa.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I don't see Seager lasting long-term at shortstop. He's 6'5". I mean,
right.
Eventually he's going to lose a little bit of mobility.
Correa, same thing. So, Bogarts is also a big guy. But it's just funny to me that so many of these shortstops, even guys like Trevor Story, and at the beginning of the year, Adonis Diaz and Addison Russell, everyone's just like getting all this hype about, look at all these young shortstop talents. I didn't see a single promotion, MLB.com, ESPN, whatever, for Didi Gregorius and what he's been doing. And he's not old. He's 26, 27.
No, he's entering his prime, if you want to call it that. So
it just bugs me he doesn't get enough credit. And if he hasn't gotten enough credit, he will get enough credit after what he did yesterday.
Well, his numbers have only gotten better at the plate since he came here. So, I mean, reasonably we can expect more improvement. He might plateau in a few years and be, 295, 25 homer. I'll take that any given day.
Oh, absolutely.
With great defense, great clubhouse presence. He speaks 4 languages. I mean, you don't need to translate it.
Didi on the bench. Just get Didi out there. Oh, man. So you keep going throughout the game, and it's tied at 3. Didi with the huge answer, and then Greg Bird had an RBI single. Gardner to make it 4-3. Then they tied it back at 4-4.
Yeah.
Then it was Greg Bird that had an RBI single to make it 5-4.
Yeah.
So that was huge. But you don't want to talk about Greg Bird's bat. You want to talk about a different play that Greg Bird made yesterday.
No, on the double play when Didi tossed it over to Castro, and then Castro with the quick turn over to Bird, he had to make the scoop. And Bird's 6'4", 6'5", and he stretched as far as he possibly could to make that stretch, and it was unbelievable. I mean, Mauer isn't what he was speed-wise. He's never fast, but he's definitely on his last legs in his career, and he almost beat that out. It was a little slow to turn, but good throw from Castro, a little low, but Bird extends all 6'5" of his body and perfect scoop, gets him by a step. That's a huge turning point in the game right there.
That was a huge turning point, and I'm going to make you eat your words because I'm going to quote you yesterday saying that Chase Headley should have pinch hit for Greg Bird.
Okay, yes, I rescind my claim. But I just thought, there's one out. Headley, you get him up there, no matter who they bring in, he's going to switch around. So more of a chance to get a double in the gap or something. Bird against lefties hasn't had a lot of experience this year. So.
My thought process for that, though, to counter that is he's a better fielder. In my opinion, he's a better fielder than Headley. I know Headley hasn't been bad at first base.
No.
Not taking anything away from him.
I think
transitioning from third to first, he has learned a lot and he's gotten better.
Right, and I feel like Headley has more range simply because he's a third baseman playing first base, but I'll take Bird with the scoops, with the target, and just in general, other than that.
And we already had a 3-run lead. It was already 7-4 at that point, and the bases were already loaded. And then, he got out, but then Hicks walked, and that's how we won 8-4. And last thing I want to talk about that game is Aaron Judge. I really hope he wins MVP.
Oh, I think he will. I think it's pretty obvious he's going to get, if not unanimous, he'll get most of the votes.
I mean, I know it was a wall scraper. I say wall scraper, even though it was a frozen rope off his bat. It came off his bat at about 113 miles an hour or something like that. It was just insane.
It's 107, I think.
107,
yeah,
was it? It's still average velocity on home runs on the year is 99.5.
It's unbelievable.
It's what he's done this whole year. During that 21-9 stretch, that was when he was at his hottest. Mm-hmm. When the Yankees were putting up 10 runs against Baltimore every game, and
much, yeah.
Oh my God! I know he had that slow stretch in August, but during that stretch, you could make the argument that without Judge and without Aaron Hicks, during that 21-9 stretch, we weren't even in the playoff race in September.
And the thing that scares me about Aaron Hicks, but also makes me love him, is that he's such an in-the-moment mental type player. Like however he's feeling then, that's going to affect him from then on out. He's not the kind of guy who's just going to forget that.
Can you explain on that?
Yeah. So when Aaron Hicks came over from the Twins for John Ryan Murphy, thank God for Brian Cashman.
J.R. Murphy, straight up trade. There were no picks or money or other prospects.
Nothing.
It was just Hicks for Murphy,
Straight up,
who is now in AAA Reno
for the Diamondbacks. Yep. The Twins needed catching depth. We needed outfield depth, and we got Hicks, and he struggled. Who
was the Twins starting catcher at that point? Kurt Suzuki?
I think it was.
Oh,
that
God.
sounds about right. Yeah. Oh man.
Oh, God.
Oh man. But the Castro signing kind of saved their season this year. But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, Aaron Hicks coming over. Now a lot of people liked it because he was raw. At one point with the Twins, he gave up switch hitting. Actually, I remember him coming to Yankee Stadium. He was hitting $170, and he was only batting right-handed, and he looked lost. He didn't look like he wanted to be out there. He's sporting a nice goatee. He didn't look like he was having fun playing baseball. I didn't see him smile. Like from my memory, what he can claim, he just didn't look good. Right-handed swing, long, but comes over to the Yankees. Has a rough first year. I think misused a little bit. Should have played more over Beltran at some points, but this year lost some weight, got into shape, happier, looks faster.
Right, and you see that personality in the dugout in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
I mean, he's right in there doing the interviews with the Toe Night Show. He's like,
I love it.
That's awesome. Also, another thing, Ronald Torreyes has been a great clubhouse guy, and he's also been a great fill-in when Didi was injured to start the year and when Castro got injured. He was just solid.
I hope we sign him for the next 2 or 3 years. I love him as a utility infielder.
Man, we can dissect that game all we want, and we can go over what the Twins and the Yankees did right and wrong, and yada yada. But the fact of the matter is, the Yankees won. They won 8-4. They are going to the ALDS. They were playing against Cleveland, and that's going to be on Thursday. And they are going against Trevor Bauer, Game 1.
Yeah,
Do you have any rationality as to why it's not Kluber?
Yes, because Bauer he didn't pitch better than Kluber in the second half, but he was one of the better pitchers in baseball from late August through September. He had like a sub-3 ERA. So I think Terry Francona wants to ride the hot hand in the postseason. Personally, I think Bauer can implode just as much as anyone, just because he gets in his head too much.
That's the thing, is I'm all about establishing dominance and getting that 1-0 lead right away. And you got probably no, he won't. Chris Sale's going to win Cy Young. I thought about Kluber will make a race, but no, it's going to be pretty much unanimous Chris Sale. But essentially, he's going to finish in second behind Sale in Cy Young.
Right.
And that's just about a lock of a 1-0 win, if there ever was one.
Right.
With Corey Kluber on the mound.
Well, yeah, and I agree. And if there's the definition of an overthinker in baseball, it's Trevor Bauer. I mean, he's into drones, he's into like physics, he just loves all these wacky, unorthodox pitching habits. You know his long toss routine,
that's right.
the way he stretch. He's just like a little. Some of it's unnecessary, but it suits him. He's a quirky guy.
Maybe he's playing around with his drone and he'll cut his finger again.
Oh my gosh, I remember that.
That was awesome.
The bloody.
It was a little funny to me because I'm just like, really, you got to be doing that on your off day.
Yeah. Anyways, I am glad we're seeing Bauer instead of Kluber Game 1 because that's a chance to jump out.
As much as I want to say, like, get that 1-0 lead for Cleveland, I'm also thinking to myself, maybe, just maybe, because the Yankees' offense is so hot, maybe Francona has that in the back of his mind and says, okay, Bauer Game 1, Kluber Game 2, Carrasco Game 3, off day. Bauer Game 4, now you got Kluber Game 5 if it gets to that.
That's what I'm saying because he's betting on Bauer securing Game 1 and then saving Kluber in case the Yankees win a game or two for Game 5.
Do you have any more information on Danny Salazar?
He's in the bullpen now, isn't he? I think he got moved to the bullpen. He didn't have a good year.
He's going to stay there?
Yeah,
I know he didn't have a good year. He was ridden with injuries, back issues, shoulder issues, yada, yada. He had a whole lot of things.
He's hard with injuries, yeah. The last few years he was good, but this year he's just, no.
Well, I mean, they got that big three, so I actually like to call Bauer, Carrasco, and Kluber a big three. I think they're in that category. So if they were to go to the CS, they would probably have Tomlin. I'd rather have Tomlin than Clevenger.
See, I like Clevenger, but he sits too middle of the plate sometimes.
Clevenger is like, he has experience with both starter and bullpen. Tomlin only has experience as a starter.
And Clevenger has great stuff. He's got some of the best stuff the Indians have, but he's just got to harness it.
Right. So. I think putting him in the bullpen as like a middle reliever, if Tomlin does start and he's having trouble in the fourth inning, Clevenger can come in and eat a couple innings to get to Shaw and Miller and Allen.
Well, right, he can serve as sort of their quasi Chad Green because he can come out of the bullpen. He can hit 98 out of the bullpen with that filthy slider. He's got a change up. He's got really good stuff. I actually really like him as a pitcher for the future.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's gonna do it for the postseason part. I really want to just cover on the whole season, just because this is our first podcast, and I know we have a lot to talk about. And just in last night's game, we have a lot to talk about, and we can, speculate all we want going into the postseason. But we're going to be doing this throughout the whole time. let's talk about like what surprised you the most during this MLB season. If you had to look at all MLB teams and there's just like a surprise story that you just didn't see happening on March 31st going into opening day.
Boy, that's a tough question. You're talking about all of baseball, right?
I'm talking about all of baseball.
What surprised me the most?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to say Jonathan Scope breaking out for the Orioles, hitting for a high average. His power numbers, his defense at second base. He's cemented himself as a top 5 second baseman in all baseball this year. Before this year, high strikeout rate, long swing, could only hit fastballs, looked awful at the plate sometimes. Good defense. He's always been a decent defender with a strong. He's got a third baseman's arm playing second base, but he just broke out this year. And when Machado was struggling in the first half, he carried that offense.
Scope for the latter part of the year was their 3-hitter, right? Was it Beckham, Machado, Scope, and then Chris Davis behind them?
That sounds about right, yeah, because when they acquired Beckham...
That was their top 4 in order?
After they acquired Beckham from the Rays, they slotted him up. I think he was a leadoff for a while.
Maybe a little bit.
So, yeah.
He had an unbelievable year, and it was just interesting to see that a second baseman... He is very athletic, too. That's another thing. He's not just a big bopper. Like Cano is a big-hitting second baseman, and he's also a slick fielder, but Cano, he isn't as fast as he used to be and everything like that. Scope is an athletic guy.
No, he is. He doesn't look super athletic, but he's quick. He's very agile in the field.
Yeah, and 100 RBIs as a second baseman. 30 home runs, I believe.
Yeah, he hit for a lot of power. Yep. He's the third baseman playing second base. He really is.
And it's something to have, and he'll probably move to third base when Machado signs with, someone else, and definitely not the Orioles or Yankees.
Yeah, possibly.
But yeah, that could definitely be an option for them to move him to third base when Machado, I think, inevitably leaves.
Well, that's the thing with Scope, because if you move him to third, he already has a cannon of an arm, so he doesn't really have any transition. I mean, other than the reflexes. It's obviously short at home plate. But no, as far as fielding and arm goes, he's fine.
I think this was his breakout year. I agree with you there. I think next year is his most important year. It's Machado's contract year.
Right.
And like I said, they're not going to get Machado back. They're just not going to. So they're gonna see if they can extend Scope while he's young and cheap. And next year, if he tanks next year, it's like, oh, we got Jonathan Scope, but he falls down to 230. Maybe he'll hit for 18, 20 home runs and like 70 RBIs. But if he's down on average and on base, and he's just not the Jonathan Scope we saw this year, then they're in trouble.
Well, I agree. I don't think he's going to do what he did this year, just because the league's going to adjust to him and they're going to go over the tape.
Right.
But if he can do anything resembling this year, then he's the third baseman of the Orioles in the future. That's what I think, honestly.
All right, I'm gonna have to think long and hard about this one because I want to stay away from Aaron Judge. We can talk away. I mean, no one saw what was gonna happen this year. Going in, we're both Yankee fans. Going into spring training, we weren't sure if he was even gonna make the roster. We thought he was gonna develop in Scranton a little more, while Hicks might have been our starting right fielder.
And I will admit, I thought Hicks should have been the starting right fielder, but boy, was I wrong. I'm glad I was wrong.
So I'm gonna stay away from that. That was just incredible. Story to me is the Diamondbacks' resurgence. Because, I mean, they have the pieces. Paul Goldschmidt's great. A.J. Pollock's great. I like David Peralta as an athlete. I mean, they got Greinke. Robbie Ray kind of, broke out this year.
Yeah.
I just didn't see a team that finished third in the NL West, almost fourth in the NL West last year.
And don't they have Fernando Rodney in their bullpen?
Fernando Rodney was in their bullpen.
He's never going to ever retire, is
he? I don't know. Look, video game Fernando Rodney's filthy because he's 99 with a 78 changeup, but in real life, he just can't harness it.
He's not 2011 Fernando Rodney.
No, he's not. No. But I go back. Zach Greinke, he had peaks of greatness last year with the Diamondbacks, but he couldn't really harness it. This year, he was NL Cy Young caliber if it wasn't for Kershaw.
Right.
Pretty much most of the year.
You can make the case, yeah.
He's just been solid. Robbie Ray was arguably better than Greinke for a little while.
Yeah.
During the stretch of the season, during the dog days of summer.
And he's only like 26, 27.
Right.
They got him from the Tigers.
So the Diamondbacks had a great year, and they made a case for first in the NL West, but then the Dodgers ran away with it, obviously. But them locking up the first NL wildcard spot as early as they did and having just such a good team and competing with the Dodgers as long as they did, I was surprised by that.
Well, as great of a year as they had.
I'm not saying they weren't going to – I didn't say that going into the beginning of the year, it was not like I had them counted out of the playoffs. Well, no, I just didn't expect this.
Right, and they finished last in their division last year. Everyone thought they were going to make the playoffs with Greinke.
They finished behind the Padres?
Okay, maybe second to last.
I think they finished fourth.
Okay, you're right. Yeah, you're right. But either way,
I think it was Giants last year. It was Dodgers, Giants, Rockies, or Dodgers, Rockies, Giants.
Because the Giants were in the wild card game.
That's right, they were. So it was Dodgers, Giants, Rockies, Diamondbacks.
Yep.
Padres. Ew.
Yeah, either way, that's not what they thought they'd have signing Greinke last year. No. But no, the Chris Owings, Nick Ahmed, sort of that offense, defense, shortstop, not platoon, but like crisscross almost. Mm-hmm. And then what really saved their season and jolted them into keeping the wild card spot.
I know exactly what you're going to say is J.D. Martinez.
J.D. Martinez. He was arguably the hottest hitter in all of baseball up until August 1st to the end of September. And he absolutely cemented their legacy in the wild card game.
He was player of the week 4 different times during the course of the MLB season.
It's unbelievable.
And he had a 4 home run game. Him and Scooter Gennett both had 4 home run games, which J.D. Martinez you can kind of see because of raw power, but then Scooter Gennett has a 4 home run game, and it's just like, okay, how?
And that's because
we're both in the studio, and we're both bigger than Scooter Gennett. How is he hitting 4 home runs?
Two things on Scooter Gennett. One, he changed his swing over the offseason to be more uppercut and fly ball oriented. That's why he's hit for more power and thus increased his value. Mm-hmm. And 2, he was the guy in Milwaukee who beat out Ricky Weeks for the second base starting job and gave Ricky Weeks a run for his money. He was the reason Ricky Weeks was released at the end of spring training for the Brewers. I don't know why I remember that, but I do.
It's funny. Oh, man. So we're going to go into some interesting facts here on the 2017 MLB season.
Okay.
So we'll break away from biggest stories. There's a lot of stuff out there, but these are what MLB.com posted a couple days ago as the 15 weirdest stats of 2017. So let's start with this one. The Blue Jays had half of their run total via the home run this year.
Wow.
But they were historically worst all time in triples. Wow. So the Blue Jays recorded 5 triples all year. Kevin Pillar can run. Donaldson's not slow.
No.
Ryan Goins, if he hits a gap or a line, he can run. Darwin Barney, I know he doesn't have power, but if he gets it down the right field line, he can run.
Decent, yeah.
I'm still stuck on Pillar.
Ezekiel Carrera is that power,
fast.
But gap power.
No, right. So I'm just thinking to myself, how does it? It's just crazy that they only had 5 triples all year. And can you tell me, Ken? By the way,
yes,
that's the lowest by any team since 1913. Can you tell me what the previous low was? I'll give you a hint. The previous low was 6.
Okay.
Can you tell me what team hit only 6 triples all year?
Was it the Yankees?
It was not the Yankees. AL East though.
AL East was it the Orioles?
It was the Orioles.
Was it 2012?
No.
Ooh, am I close?
You're a little under.
Okay, 2014.
No, it's actually last year.
Last year's Orioles.
2016 Orioles hit 6 triples all year.
Wow.
And they were the lowest. And then this year, the Blue Jays hit 5.
So next year, the Yankees...
Red Sox will hit 4, right?
With some AL East team.
And then the year after that, the Yankees will hit 3, and then the Rays will only hit 2.
And then they'll get rid of triples as a stat altogether.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just, which they should already do with WAR, but we'll get into that later.
We'll get into
We'll get into the whole WAR debate later. All right, so stat number 2. Padres pitcher Luis Perdomo nearly matched the Blue Jays himself. The second-year right-hander recorded his 4th triple on the final day of the season, and that is setting a new StatCast benchmark for fastest time on a triple, 11.52 seconds.
Perdomo.
By any pitcher.
By a pitcher. Okay, I was going to say, wow.
I wanted to hear the reaction first. I wanted to see if you were going to bring up Billy Hamilton again.
I was going to say, why is he pitching if he's running that fast?
But still, 11 and a half seconds.
For a pitcher, that's really good.
11 and a half seconds to get from home to third on a triple. And that was his 4th triple of the season.
Yeah.
So just Luis Perdomo, who's a National League pitcher and plays once every 5 days.
If that.
If they don't skip a start or move him to the bullpen, which they did a couple times, he was one shy of the entire Blue Jays mark over 162 games of triples.
We had to look into that. Was he like a shortstop in the minor leagues? He had to be.
While I'm going over these, you can look it up if you want.
I could do
because I'm intrigued. He is an athletic pitcher.
Absolutely.
Oh man, Perdomo is the first player to hit 4 triples in a season exclusively as a pitcher since Bob Feller hit 4 in 1941.
Bob Feller. That's good. Pretty good company, Luis Perdomo.
Good job. All right, let's move on to the next one. For stat number 3. This involves 3 players.
Okay.
Joey Gallo, Matt Olson, and Kyle Schwarber took the home run craze to another level. Each of these 3 players finished with more than 20 home runs, but also with RBI totals less than or equal to double their home run count.
Wow.
So think about that. So if you hit 20 home runs and they're all solo shots, that's 20 RBIs.
Right.
And if you double that, that's 40. So if all your home runs are 2-run shots, that's 40 RBIs right there if they hit 20.
Right.
All 3 of those guys hit 20 home runs, and all of their RBI totals were less than double. So if Gallo hit 25 home runs, he had less than 50 RBIs in the season.
Olsen had 24, 25, right? Home runs?
Yeah, but that's also weird because he did it he had 20 in 25 days or something like that.
Well, he was scorching hot.
He was scorching hot for a little while.
Something got into him. He's a big boy, so
he's a big man. And Schwarber was up and down, and he just couldn't stay in the lineup. So that's just something weird to think about, that you can have that kind of home run power and just either no one's on base, or if you hit an RBI single, you only get 1 out of it.
Yeah,
it's just weird.
Oh, and by the way, going back to Perdomo, he's always been a pitcher.
Always been a pitcher.
Ever since A-ball, he's been a pitcher.
All right, cool. So
which makes it even better.
Look over Madison Bumgarner. We got a new pitcher who can hit.
Yeah, really.
Oh man. Prior to 2017, only 7 players had finished with 20-plus homers while recording an RBI total less than or equal to twice their home run account, and never more than 2 in the same year.
That's interesting. Well, with the home
it's never been more than 2 in the same year, except for this year. 3 players did it.
Well, with the home run,
and only 7 players did it ever.
Right, and with the home run and fly ball revolution that we've seen, it doesn't surprise me, but it's sort of...
It's just they all got to be solo shots. I feel bad for Joey Gallo because the Rangers, look at their lineup. Nomar Mazara, Delano DeShields, Rougned Odor kind of had a down year, but you got Beltre. You got guys who can get on for you.
Andrus.
It was Andrus. Yeah. You got contact guys and on-base guys who get on for you.
Yeah.
How are all of Gallo's home runs solo or maybe a 2-run dinger?
But think of it this way: the more you see home runs, doesn't it sort of decrease the value of, just appreciating it in a way? Right? It's like if everyone's hitting 25 home runs, it's sort of like, okay.
Yeah, it's okay, if you don't hit a home run, it's
almost expected, right?
Right.
Yeah. I like home runs.
I like home runs too, but I don't want to take anything away because what Stanton and Judge did this year were fantastic.
Right. And so
all-time rookie home run record, and Stanton with 59, almost getting 60.
Yeah. And to piggyback off that, strikeouts are boring in a way. Putting the ball in play is exciting. Even a ground ball can be exciting.
Even then, it's a double-edged sword because you say strikeouts are boring. Chris Sale's the first pitcher since Pedro to hit for the Red Sox to hit 300 this year.
Oh no, I don't care. I'm talking about the casual fan.
Okay.
Strikeouts, they don't want to see strikeouts. They want to see triples. They want to see, ground balls in the hole. Something exciting. No?
You're wrong, dude.
Really?
Believe it or not, the casual fan, and for all you listening, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the casual fan to me wants to see a pitcher strike out 15 guys in a game, or they want to see a 9-8 game. If a pitcher's not doing well, they want to see a 9-8 game with 9 home runs and 8 home runs on either side.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess that's all personal preference.
Me and you, believe it or not, me and you are in that minority of diehard baseball fans that we appreciate a solid line drive up the middle. We appreciate a solid bunt for a hit or an executed sack bunt with runners in scoring position.
Or based on the situation, a runner on base, Chase Headley sits on a 2-1 slider, and you're like, wow, that's very advanced.
Me and you are very rare in the fact that velocity is great, but me and you appreciate a well-located changeup on the low and away corner.
It's just the aesthetics of baseball. You don't have to throw 110. I mean, I want you to, but
I want you to.
If you hear me roll this Chapman.
Which, by the way, this isn't part of the 15 crazy stats of 17, but a stat from last night.
Okay.
The last pitch that Chapman threw to get the final out, 103.7 miles per hour.
Yeah.
That is the fastest recorded pitch velocity-wise since the 2010 playoffs, and that is the fastest third strike pitch of all of 2017.
Of all of 2017.
Right.
Wow.
Calvin Herrera can throw smoke. Chapman can throw smoke. Dellin can throw smoke, and he was a closer for a little while.
Kimbrel can get it up there.
Kimbrel can get it up there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, he could basically he's basically playing Pac-Man by himself at this point, if you think of it that way.
He's playing Pac-Man by himself. All right, so we're moving on. Gallo was in a category all on his own, finishing with 41 home runs and just 32 singles. Gallo joins Mark McGwire in 1998 and 99, and Barry Bonds in 2001 is the only players in history to qualify for the season-end batting title while knocking more home runs than singles.
Wow. And how many of those singles were just got under a ball, bloop into, Texas Leaguer? One of those.
Or going the other way.
Or going the other, yeah.
Because he is a pull lefty, so they shift him, just slapping it down the left field line.
I would like to see the singles. I'm going to have to look at that. I'm intrigued.
To go off our point earlier, I don't care about home runs. I want to see a single.
To an extent.
Which you know what? I always did say that though. Headley bunts for a single every now and then when he did it a lot in April. That's part of why his April batting average was like 360.
Right.
Mark Teixeira started to learn that to do it for a little bit. When guys shift, I like when guys learn to bunt to go the other way.
With nobody on to lead off an inning, sure.
Right,
yeah,
we need base runners. If it's the bottom of the ninth and it's a tie game and Chase Headley's leading off and they're all shifted to the right side, get on first base.
Seriously.
You know why you get on first base? Because then, especially in the postseason, because now you got Tyler Wade or Clint Frazier or Ellsbury if he's not playing to run for you.
Right.
Or Hicks if he's not playing and Ellsbury is to run for you.
Right.
Now you got to run around second.
Well, the Yankees have the luxury of having like 5 pinch runners if they really want, depending on who's playing.
Yeah.
So.
Except for Matt Holliday.
Except for me, yeah.
Oh, man. So this year's home run craze wasn't fueled only by fence-clearing blasts. MLB hitters combined for a certain amount of inside-the-park home runs. The first time the leagues have combined for that total since 2000. Do you know what the total inside-the-park home runs there were in all of
baseball for 2017?
All of baseball for 2017.
Is it under 25?
It is under 25.
Is it over 7?
What kind of window is that? Yes, it's between 7 and 25, Kenny.
So 16 inside the park home runs.
Okay, I like how you took the average there, and no, it's higher than 6. It's between 16 and 25.
Okay, so see, I'm having everything.
Okay, I guess.
19.
So close.
20.
Yes.
Wow.
20 inside the park home runs this year for the MLB season. That is the most the league has had since 2000.
That's exciting.
I also agree that is very exciting. And that is probably the most exciting play. If I go to a baseball game and I see a solid 5-2 game, a couple home runs, a couple RBI doubles, and, a setup man in the 8th and a closer in the 9th, great.
Yeah.
Whatever. Cool baseball game. If I go to a game and it's a blowout one way or the other, but one person hits an inside the park home run, I will remember that game forever.
Yeah. It's just etched in your memory. It's something you attribute that game to, associate it with. Yeah, exactly.
Moving on, Twins catcher Chris Jimenez found his own niche on the bump, appearing as a pitcher in 6 different games for Minnesota.
Yeah.
You knew that already.
No, I didn't know that, but I know he is the go-to for many teams to pitch. Just because him and Eric Kratz, I think, have like the most ever by catchers.
That's the most pitching appearances by a position player not named Brooks Kishnick, who was a two-way player from 2003 to 2004. Since Los Angeles Angels outfielder Willie Smith appeared in 11 games back in 1963.
Oh, man.
So, something to tip your hat to.
Yeah, really. And I know Eric Kratz is in that category. We was with the Astros. He was, I believe, the first to throw last year.
What is it about catchers that do that?
I don't know. It's
all right.
I guess, yeah.
I swear to God, I once played with a catcher who had his velocity on his arm, on his pop time, from home to second.
Yeah.
He was faster velocity than pitcher's mound to home, if he were to stand on the mound.
He must have had a quick release. Unreal.
His velocity too.
Yeah.
He would throw 93 from home to second, and he would throw like 83 from the mound to home.
Maybe not in today's podcast. Maybe at a later date we can talk about position players who'd make really good pitchers if they've trained well.
Well, I already know
I could
2 off the bat, but we'll get to that at a later date. Andrew McCutchen hit the long overdue first grand slam of his career just 5 days before the end of the season. McCutchen incredibly had hit his first 201 big league dingers in every kind of situation possible except the bases loaded. McCutchen's performance Tuesday was notable in one other way too. McCutchen finished 4 for 4 that night against the Orioles.
Wow.
While also scoring 4 runs and driving in 8. It marked just the second time on record since 1913, since I would consider the modern era, that a player finished 4 for 4 with 4 runs scored and 8 RBIs in the 4 lines of a box score. So 4 for 4, 4 runs, 8 RBIs.
Wow.
That's just the second time on record that's ever happened.
Wow, ever.
Ever.
Huh.
The other game was recorded by Giants legend Hank Thompson against the Cardinals way back in 1954.
Wow, you're in decent company then.
I like to think so.
I'd like to, yeah.
Reds first baseman Joey Votto was operating on another level from the rest of the MLB this season when it came to patience at the plate. You probably know where this is going.
Yep.
Votto finished with an MLB high 134 walks and just. Do you want to guess his strikeout total?
40.
No, it was more than 40.
Okay, 76.
No, a little more.
90.
A little less. 83.
Wow.
83 strikeouts. So that's plus 51. His K to walk, or I would say his walk to K, was plus 51.
Unbelievable.
Only 4 other qualified hitters finished with more walks than strikeouts, and none had a greater margin greater than plus 4. I believe Justin Turner might have been one of them.
Yeah, probably Turner. Makes sense.
Aaron Judge had just as good a season for the Yankees, but he got there in a very different way. With 52 home runs and 127 walks and 208 strikeouts, Judge became the first player to lead the league in each of the 3 true outcomes.
Adam Dunn never did that?
Nope.
Mark Reynolds?
Dale Murphy for the Braves back in 1985.
Wow.
He's the first player to do it since Dale Murphy.
Wow.
So in the American League 3 true outcomes, home runs, walks, strikeouts.
Yeah.
Aaron Judge led all 3 of those for the American League.
And he's the first. Oh, this is just American League.
It's for your respective league. He didn't lead MLB walks because, like I just said, Votto had 134.
Right, that makes sense.
But
wow.
Yeah, so Dale Murphy led the National League in all 3 true outcomes in 85.
I'm very surprised Mark Reynolds or Adam Dunn isn't on that list.
Mark Reynolds never really led in home runs though.
And he doesn't walk.
Granderson, I'm surprised
Granderson's a better example,
never did it because when he was in the Yankees, he had a home run total year with like 43, 44, and he also had 210 strikeouts.
Yeah, I don't think really Reynolds doesn't walk as much as those guys do anyway.
No, he's a free swinger.
Yeah, he is.
The never bunt hit dingers movement is in full swing as the 2017 was the first in modern history to feature fewer than 1,000 combined sacrifice bunts or sacrifice hits in general, bunts or sac flies, in the major leagues. Hitters combined to lay down just 925 sacrifice hits this year, shattering the previous low of 1025.
This is bunts and sac flies.
It says sacrifice hits.
Yeah,
so it leads me to think bunts and sacrifice flies.
See, that surprises me a little bit because if you're aiming to hit a home run every time, then wouldn't you get more sac flies?
You would think. You gotta get runners on base though.
True.
And like we said, I mean, Gallo had what, like 25 home runs, less than 50 RBIs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Chris Sale slung his way past the 300 strikeout mark this season, finishing with 308. That's amazing enough on its own, but consider this: the Southpaw piled up 267 of those Ks against righties.
Unbelievable.
So 267. So he only struck out 41 lefties.
You know what that says?
Of his 308
That
Ks.
says when teams play Chris Sale, it is righty-heavy lineups no matter what.
Like it matters.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what team seems to have Chris Sale's number, though?
The New York Yankees.
The New York Yankees.
Yes.
Exactly.
That is unreal. Wow.
No other pitcher in the majors struck out a righty more than 168 times.
Chris Sale's in the whole nother league. When it comes to
he has 100 more strikeouts against righties than whoever finished in second. Doesn't say who.
That's unbelievable.
I would probably think Severino or Kluber. Yeah,
probably.
Whether or not he wins the NL MVP award, Charlie Blackmon's 2017 season will go down as one for the ages. From the leadoff spot, Blackmon became the first player in history to lead the major leagues in hits, 213, runs, 137 runs. It helps when Nolan Arenado's driving you in 130 times.
And Mark Reynolds having it.
Right.
Yeah.
Triples with 14, and he had 387 total bases.
He's a machine.
Yeah.
He's never liked this before. He's always good.
He was always good. He was always a good player. I don't want to take anything away from Chuck Nasty. He's always been good. But, wow.
Yeah. Georgia Tech alum, too. So.
And I feel bad for him. He's not going to win the MVP.
No.
He's not going to win the NL MVP. It'll probably be Goldschmidt.
Yeah, probably.
I don't want to see Kershaw be made the case for because pitchers have the Cy Young award. That's their MVP award.
Blackmon will get votes, though.
Blackmon will get votes.
He absolutely will.
But it's going to come down to Harper and Goldschmidt, I think.
Yeah.
Even though Harper was injured for a little bit.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Jose Ramirez, simply put, was an extra base machine this season. The Indians MVP candidate finished the regular season with 56 doubles, 29 home runs, and 6 triples, making him the first player in the history of the American League to reach all those totals in a season. Only 2 players in NL history had ever reached those benchmarks. And both are Hall of Famers. Joe Medwick of the Cardinals in 1937 and Chuck Klein of the Phillies in 1930.
Going back a ways, huh?
Yeah, but those were for the National League.
Okay.
I'm going to read this again. He's the first player in history to do that for the American League. 29 home runs, 6 triples, 56 doubles.
That's a nice stat line.
It is a nice stat line.
Nice.
That's consistency. Jose Ramirez, when you talk about how consistent Charlie Blackmon was for the National League, for the Rockies, I don't think he'll win MVP again. I think Altuve and Judge is just going to attract too much.
Race.
It's just going to attract too much attention. But where are the Indians without Jose Ramirez? They had the Indians back in late June, early July. They were 2 games up on 5. They were 2 games over 500, and the Royals were very much in it. The Twins were leading the Central.
Yeah.
The White Sox were out of it, and the Tigers were like starting to fall out of it.
Wow. Yeah, they ran away.
They ran away with it, and Jose Ramirez at the helm was leading them to everything.
Hey, doubles are an underrated stat. You're in scoring position right off the bat.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
People should look more into that. Angels catcher Martin Maldonado, Kenny's favorite player in the league,
oh man, don't even get me started.
walked just 15 times this season, including 1 intentional pass, accounting for a little more than 3% of his 471 plate appearances, one of the lowest rates in MLB. However, Maldonado somewhat made up for the lack of walks by getting hit by pitch 18 times. Second in the AL behind only Rangers' Carlos Gomez, my favorite player in the league.
Oh, man.
In doing so, Maldonado became the first player to log at least 400 plate appearances while racking up more hits by pitch than walks in nearly 100 years. Ali O'Mara in the 1918 Brooklyn Robins, later Dodgers,
yes,
was the last to do it with 10 hit by pitches and 7 walks in 487 plate appearances. So this will be another podcast thing too.
Okay.
But Ken and I have previously come up with an all players we most hate team.
Yes.
And spoiler alert, Carlos Gomez is the center fielder of that team, and Martin Maldonado is the catcher of that team.
Yes, absolutely. And they both stand very close to the plate, which doesn't surprise me.
And the last stat I'm going to read you, Maldonado's teammate Albert Pujols had a down year by his lofty standards, but the Hall of Famer, first baseman, still made history in 2017. He hit the 600 home run mark.
Yeah.
In finishing with 101 RBIs and just 93 strikeouts.
Wow.
Pujols completed his 14th Major League season with at least 100 RBIs and fewer than 100 strikeouts. 14 times he did that.
14 times.
Jesus.
So he was like a mini Joey Votto before Joey Votto was Joey Votto.
Right, but that was with walks and strikeouts. This is RBIs and strikeouts.
No, Pujols has been one of the most efficient players ever in history. If you look at his
I would
numbers.
think RBIs are probably more valuable than walks.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So that passed the great Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig, who both had 13 seasons for most such campaigns of any player in modern baseball history. So Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig for a career were tied with 13 such seasons of 100-plus RBIs, fewer than 100 walks. And Pujols hit his 14th this year.
Yeah, Pujols, even when he's having a down year, he's still doing things like that.
Well, he's still a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So that does it for my crazy stat segment. Now let's take the rest of the time so you can stump me on trivia this week.
Okay, do you want to go first?
This kind of was my trivia.
That was.
I was kind of asking you questions in between, and this was mine.
Okay, that's fine. All right, you ready?
I don't know. You gave me a sample one yesterday. Kenny's sample one yesterday was who scored the final run in Derek Jeter's final. Who scored the walk-off run in Derek Jeter's final home game? For those of you wondering, it's Antoine Richardson.
And it was hit off which pitcher for the Orioles?
It was a lefty.
It was not a lefty.
Was it Darren O'Day?
No.
Because I was gonna say Zach Britton.
No, it was Evan Meek.
Evan Meek. Jesus.
Meek, former Florida Marlin, folks. Evan Meek.
That's a name for you.
All right. So, my trivia question for you is:
Go ahead.
Who is the only Yankees player ever to wear number 88? And I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
He's played for them in the last 5 years.
Oh, it's got to be a September call-up, right?
Essentially, yes, he was.
God.
And I'll give you one more hint.
We're gonna have some dead air time of me just thinking.
And I'll give you one more hint. Left-handed pitcher, reliever.
I was actually gonna say Chase Whitley, but it's not. Chase
No, so this would have been a good guess, but no.
Man, it's not Tommy Lane. It's not Chase and Tree.
Not
obviously.
Tommy Lane. Shreve.
It's not Blogan.
Nope.
God, I hate seeing dead air. But I don't know. You stump me.
You ready? Josh Outman wore number 88.
Come on.
He wore stirrups for the Yankees in his time.
I appreciate the stirrups, but you know who also wore stirrups and was awful?
Who?
Ian Kennedy.
Yes.
For the Yankees. He was awful.
the Yankees, he was bad. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Josh Outman, former Oakland A, I believe Colorado Rocky. Yeah, wore number 88 for the Yankees.
God, I hate you.
I know.
All right. So to close this show, we're approaching the 47-minute mark. Let's just go over the ALCS matchups.
Okay.
Astros, Red Sox. Overall, who takes it?
Astros have the better offense. Chris Sale's pretty much a lock, I think, against the Astros. The postseason, he's going to be pumped.
Yep.
Astros in 4.
I'm going to say Astros in 5.
Okay.
And that's just because Chris Sale's going to pitch Game 1 and Game 4, and he's going to win both those games. It's going to come down to Game 5 in Houston, and they're going to win it.
Okay. See, I think the Astros should go Keuchel. I think Charlie Morton.
I think the Astros should fold against Chris Sale, throw Morton against Sale, and then have Keuchel, McCullers, Verlander ready for against Pomeranz, Porcello, Price?
No.
Price was out of the bullpen to end the year.
Probably not Price.
So probably not Price. Porcello.
Probably Porcello, yeah. Definitely not Eduardo.
No, dude, it's the division series, so they're going to have 3 starters.
Yeah.
Verlander, Keuchel, McCullers.
Okay.
So Keuchel against Sale, give yourself a chance, but Verlander and McCullers against Pomeranz and Porcello. Well, make sure you win those games.
McCullers has had back issues, and he hasn't looked the same. I'd throw Charlie Morton. He's lowered his arm angle. He's gone the Roy Halladay way, and he throws like 98 now. I would just ride him.
That's not a bad option either.
I wouldn't trust McCullers. This isn't like early on.
Put McCullers in the bullpen if you need him for a couple innings.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea. And Red Sox Indians. Or sorry, Red Sox Astros. Yankees Indians.
Yankees Indians. Oh boy. I want to see Yankees in 5, but boy, the Indians are really good. I mean, I know we're biased because we're Yankee fans, but
I get that.
That Indians team is pretty stacked.
The Yankee offense cannot and will not be stopped. Seeing what we saw in like the last 2 weeks of September, and the Yankees bullpen absolutely cannot be stopped. This is this year's Indians bullpen from last year.
Yeah, no, I agree. Assuming Severino comes back to form, which I think he's going to start Game 1 or 2, then Game 2 probably.
Here's my hot take for you.
Okay.
The Indians are going to use Kluber in Game 2, so they have him for Game 5.
Yeah.
They're not going to make it to Game 5. Yankees are going to win in 4.
Okay. I hope it happens. I really do, but I think Yankees in 5.
Yankees are going to beat Bauer, lose to Kluber, beat Carrasco, beat Bauer in Yankee Stadium.
Okay. I like it. I'll roll with it. That seems realistic. Yeah. Because you don't know with Bauer.
You really don't.
No.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for the first A.K.47 Baseball Podcast. And join us next week when me and Kenny will be right back. We're going to be covering over some ALDS and ALCS predictions. And we'll also have some other tidbits for you around the league.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm Austin Speaker.
And I'm Kenny Stables.
Thanks for listening.